Big Time was one of those on-chain games, a Web3 MMO that was fun for about a week. Whenever you first got access to this game and you started playing it, most people were like, wow, this is actually really cool. And it wasn't because the game is good, because let's be crystal clear right at the start of this video. Listen, sorry if you guys like invested in this game or whatever. Big Time is not a good game. Okay? It's just not. It's one of those games we've had a lot of in on-chain gaming where it's not fun because it's good. It's fun because we're fucking desperate, okay? It is what it is. There was no games where you could grind with your friends and do dungeons. A lot of people, briefly at least, had hopes for Lost Relics to become that game, but because Lost Relics is a solo developer who never intended to grow the team, he just wanted to do it as more of like a hobby project. So the whole co-op thing, I quit Lost Relics 2 or 3 years ago. They were teasing co-op then. They're still teasing co-op. So I think everyone was kind of waiting for a game where you could grind with your friends, get in the voice chat, fight bosses, fight mobs together. And Big Time did deliver that. In fact, your first like 10 to 20 hours was kind of like the first time you ever eat a cheeseburger from McDonald's. Like, if you've never had one before, it tastes fucking amazing. Then you eat 5 more of those fuckers, and you're like, wait a minute, this tastes really weird. Like, this is a bunch of, like, this is barely even real food. Like, it's that thing where the initial rush is really good, and then over time you realize, oh, this is just a cheap thrill. This isn't actually, like, there's no depth to this. That was exactly the problem. Like, I played 20 to 30 hours of Big Time. I had some great grinds with my pal Don Bez. Shout outs to Don and a bunch of other people I met, new people, made friends. Like, the social aspect was really good, and it seemed like it had potential. But then what happened? Well, long story short, the team got really freaking greedy. I'm burying the lead so hard. Let's go right to the thing. So basically, let's cut to the punchline here, because that was a 2-minute intro. Steve Woody, a crypto gaming investor who, I will say, he seems like a smart guy. I've also seen him make a couple dramatic exits before. As someone who dramatically exits games, I've also done it. Listen, I do it too, but he has done this before. Just, it's worth mentioning. Like, I've seen him make other, but here's what he said. Big Time just decided to rug their community. They allowed people to generate in-game assets and just decided that rather than let the players keep them, they will wipe them. Why is this a problem? Well, because the in-game bugs, people like myself couldn't convert them, couldn't log in. So basically, couldn't get items out of the wipe. I think these were items that had some kind of NFT aspect. Imagine spending months grinding assets that others are able to cash out for real money, but they suddenly decide we're going to wipe them and you will get nothing. Even though you spent hundreds of thousands on game assets, which are now worth less than 80% of what you bought them for initially. 100% scammers. I know I promoted them before, but the team are rotten to the core and I would avoid at all costs. Now, to be honest, I don't know the specifics of exactly what, like, it has something to do with the hourglass items, and he had items, Bulldog was getting into it with him. I don't really understand the exact specifics. I don't think they're that relevant. Here's the thing with Big Time. Big Time has been printing money for a lot of people. Like, people have been selling these expensive items, selling their tokens, like earning things in the game and selling them. But here's the thing. Everyone I've ever talked to about Big Time says one thing. Oh man, Flux, I'm making so much money. Oh man, Flux, why aren't you trying to make this money? Flux, you got to get in there. There's so much money to be made. And I'm happy for people who made money, but there's a few things. Number one, in order to make that money, you have to grind 8 hours a day. So it's a full-time job that can disappear at any moment because it's just like a game. It's not like an actual job. That's one reason why I didn't do it. The other reason why I wasn't interested, the assets that you needed to buy to even be able to potentially make money were very expensive. So you had to invest and take risk by buying stuff, which you then could potentially lose your money on to earn that other money. But most importantly, no one was talking to me about Big Time and saying, Flux, I'm having so much fun. Flux, this game is so fun. Maybe for a little bit that first week during that like desperation phase where we were just like, oh my God, we can grind together. And there was some good stuff about the game, but I mean, over the last year, I have seen Big Time add 0 to their gameplay. They haven't fixed anything. If anything, the gameplay of Big Time is worse now than it was when I started playing like a year ago, year and a half ago, whenever it was that I started playing. And I tried to go back a few times and give it a second chance. Like I needed to just get back in. And every time I tried to play it again, I was like, oh no, this is definitely not a good game. Like it's just not that good. It's fun for a little bit, especially if you're desperate because you only play the crypto games and you don't get to go play World of Warcraft or Diablo or Path of Exile. So you're like finally big time. But the truth is, no one was really playing for fun. Everyone was playing to extract money. Whenever that's the case, the game is fucking doomed. And so big time was definitely there. And it found itself in a position where they kept promising rewards, rewards, rewards instead of gameplay, gameplay, gameplay to a big extreme. I mean, there's games that focus a lot on rewards, but also people really talk about the gameplay. Gods Unchained was in that camp. I'd say Parallel's there. Parallel, a lot of people are focused on the money, but there's a lot of very genuine, card game discussion and stuff. Parallel is at risk of pulling a big time maybe, but the difference, like, because there is a lot of focus on how much earnings is happening, the difference is that they're doing it more as an esports kind of framing as opposed to big time, which had the really just like play to earn framing. And I feel like there is a difference between esports events and bringing in influencers, doing broadcasts, all the stuff Parallel's been doing, compared to big time, which just had something that can be cool, but by itself isn't enough, which is the just get on the leaderboard to get rewards. Like it was too just grind, buy stuff, and get money. And what made it worse was that I mean, I made a video about this a while ago. Where is it? They sold like $500 loot boxes, and then they sold another round of like $600 loot boxes, and like all this stuff. Here it is. You can't see. Like they sold a ton of really expensive loot boxes and stuff. Did I actually show it? Like, I don't know if I showed it in here. Maybe not. But like, is it at the end? I don't know if I showed it. But they sold a bunch of really expensive loot boxes. The whole thing has just been crazy. So here's another one. Let's go through one more tweet. This is grail.eth. I see this guy on Twitter a lot. I honestly don't know much about them, but this tweet looked pretty smart. Community reporting some red alerts about big time. Founders/team are starting to act up against the community that made them. I was initially impressed with how big time created and incentivized the leaderboard system to drive Web3 liquidity into token and assets. This is important. It worked because the circulating supply was tiny and the leaderboard rewards were very high. So this is a classic trick. When you have a very low supply, because you just don't give many people any of these crypto tokens, there's so little going around that it makes the price look really high. And then as you start distributing them, people start selling them at that high price, and the play to earn is so good, everyone's making so much money. Then reality sets in as the supply inflates and the price crashes. Basic economics. The bigger problem, though, the business model of selling loot boxes and forcing your community to buy them to earn has been wildly profitable for the company. That's exactly what they did. They had this play to earn thing, but then they would sell $1,000 loot box, whatever it was, 500, 600, amounts of money that no game should ever charge for anything that isn't just cosmetic. Like, you should never have in-game useful stuff people need for 500. That's a fucking scam. Like, forget that. But they did that. They literally sold these boxes, and they're like, if you don't get these loot boxes, you're not going to have the new stuff that you need, which is honestly something I saw, and the same thing I saw that other game, Million on Mars, do, I mentioned earlier. It's like when a game sells you more and more stuff, and if you don't keep buying that stuff, you fall behind. A little different for card games because, you need new sets of cards as new content. But in a grindy MMO, it seems pretty sus. Like, why isn't that stuff just going to drop from dungeons? Like, why does it have to be sold in a loot box? Why not just have new drops, new content without selling it again? Because you already sold the game. The game has been sold. The person already gave you the money. Anyway, I consider they tag the founder. They say, I suggest you fix these issues. And they also mention Decentraland, which is Big Time Founder's previous company, was bad. And bro, just for the record, Decentraland is a terrible metaverse app. They're still paying a social media person to keep this Twitter going, but I guarantee you they have 0 users. I mean, listen, you judge for yourself. You judge for yourself. How much money are you going to spend on this game? I mean, I'm sorry. I think it's cool that people can make assets and like do them in the marketplace, all that stuff. But like, Decentraland as a thing just sucks. So bottom line, What they're saying is, just like Decentraland, Big Time is going down the same path of being profitable for the team, but a negative for anyone else. They say they were hoping Big Time would be something different as an actual game that was somewhat fun, but seeing how the team is operating, hearing how people are thinking, we need to keep the founders accountable. So here's what I have to say. My final point on this. The Big Time thing, if you bought into the idea that Big Time was going to be lucrative and you were going to make a bunch of money over the long term, I think you just fell for some bullshit. Like, it was not that hard to see the level of greed going on in Big Time, where everybody involved almost... I didn't meet anyone who wasn't trying to make a bunch of money. No one was like, yo, I'm just having fun playing the game. Everyone was like, big dollar signs in their eyes. Not even like, I'll make a few bucks a day while I have fun. No, people were like, I'm gonna grind, I'm gonna make hundreds of dollars a day, and I'm gonna fucking make more money doing this than I would from a job. Like, I'm gonna do it. This is gonna be lucrative. Like, there was so much greed. And I think when it comes to play to earn, when it comes to crypto gaming, when it comes to all this stuff, it really goes back to that basic Warren Buffett saying, be fearful when others are greedy, greedy when others are fearful. When everyone gets as greedy as they do in Big Time, I get very, very scared. And I see that in lots of projects. I'm not going to start calling stuff out right now, but just like, whenever everybody is like, oh my god, we're going to make so much money, we're going to be rich, we're going to be even richer, $1,000, what about 10,000? Actually, how about 100,000? I'm going to make $1 million. Like, when everyone goes crazy, just get the fuck out. You know what I mean? Like, avoid get-rich-quick cults. Because they're all, you know, get rich quick is a scam. So, yeah, Big Time drama. I feel bad for people who, you know, put a bunch of money in and lost it or are losing it. But this is, like, the least surprising thing ever. Big Time has always had something weird going on about it. And the fact that they haven't been able to do basic gameplay improvements. The fact that there's still no way to queue up and get a group without, like, using 10 different Discord servers, try to find someone else who's live, like... They already fucked it up, I think. I think Big Time is dead. I don't think it can be saved. I think it's over. Honestly, if you have stuff in there, I'd just get the fuck out as fast as you can. So, too bad for Big Time. I wish it did better, but I think Seraph has... It's over now, because Seraph is so much better. Like, Seraph is so much better than Big Time. Anyone who wants to grind for loot and run dungeons, like, Seraph is it. Not Seraph. 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 I'm trying to pronounce it. I think that's right. Alright, that's all I have to say. Flux signing out.